Building the audience with trying to figure out how to make this something that you can be doing all the time, and really in a lot of ways it is kind of unhealthy. I look back and like think about the times that I've spent just staring. But yeah, that's the thing. And like in early online video, a lot of the competitive advantage was not being ashamed of your obsession with a thing that the whole world thought was kind of dumb. Like YouTube, that's dumb. Like that was a lot, like for like 4 years, that's sort of the response I got. So I want to talk today about what the obsession has led me to be thinking about at VidCon, because this is the best time to be obsessed with online video because everybody's together talking about it. And the big conversation is about all the new platforms, and that's both emerging platforms like Twitch and YouNow and Snapchat and Vine, and established platforms like Twitter and Facebook getting into video, and what that means for creators and what it means for the industry. My perspective is that it's great. It's really exciting, and it's not, like, I don't feel like, one of the things that it has made me realize is the special things about YouTube, like what YouTube.
Years later, web video is no novelty, and well, look at where we are and what they created, right? But this spirit and the qualities that made these videos successful still pervade their work today. But this true thing, it wasn't just about a documentarian approach. Frozen Grand Central became one of the iconic early pranks on YouTube. Long before they racked up 1.5 million subscribers, Improv Everywhere was creating these scenes of chaos and joy that existed in the real world. And our fascination with the raw reaction of the bystanders, it demonstrated how much video could exist, how video could exist in this fascinating and delightful blurred line between creativity and reality. Today, creative approaches to real-life experiences have reached a whole new level. Earlier this year, a 20-year-old Dutch beauty expert, Nikki Tutorials, took advantage of this idea to respond to some negative comments that she experienced.
I'm going to do half my face, full-on glam. I'm truly going to transform one side of my face, and the other side is going to be me. Raw, unedited, nothing, me, just me.
She challenged her audience on this concept of truth and realism, and what she created quite a stir.
That, guys, is the power of makeup. By no means I want to say that if you have insecurities that you should just slap makeup on, feel better, and just never be content with your own self. I just want people to know that makeup is fun and there are no rules to makeup.
It was watched by millions, but it also created a discussion. And there are now hundreds of similar videos by professional and amateur beauty bloggers inspired by this honest discussion that you wanted to engage in. But we also learned that this idea of truth and real reaction was amplified by a new interactive dynamic that had evolved simultaneously. People have become very used to thinking about entertainment in a very specific way, in terms of an audience connecting with content. But it turned out that YouTube was about using content as a vehicle for communication between people. This is how we ended up with bloggers that have more mainstream appeal to movie stars. We ended up with memes like Draw My Life, of which there are now over 50,000 and have been watched over 1 billion times. Channels like BuzzFeed can now average over 150 million views per week by creating things that people don't just enjoy, but also want to talk about and associate their identities with online. Because the people here this week became some of the biggest stars in the world right now by inspiring communities to form that were connected to them and to one another. Communities that didn't want to watch, but actually wanted to be a part of their entertainment in a way that didn't really exist on TV or at the movie theater. I mean, think about this for a second. 3 of YouTube's most popular series at present have their programming driven directly by the audience. The Fine Brothers React series, Rap Battles of History, and of course, Honest Trailers. They all source their ideas from the community. It's approximately 2 billion views on those series just last year. And this interactivity dynamic can be harnessed by anyone if they're honest and they're clever about it. And that says so much about what's possible on YouTube and where in the history of creativity we are right now. And these communities that are built on this interactivity, they come in all shapes. Perhaps the most surprising thing, the most surprising way that you have redefined media is not only proving that niche content matters, but that's incredibly meaningful. From predictable to obscure, anything that we have a passion for or a specific point of view on can now be something that an audience can rally around, generating Today, there are popular and some less popular communities of channels for everything that people are willing to care about. There are channels for watching covers of pop songs in American Sign Language. There are channels for learning how to pronounce things correctly.
Acai. Acai. Acai.
There are channels for learning how to pronounce things incorrectly. There are very popular channels about nail art.
Finish off with a fast-drying top coat. This will seal in your design and give your nails a beautiful shine.
And less popular channels for amazing conspiracy theories about pop culture.
And the last phrase is really the most interesting. So call me maybe. Now he's not saying call me on the telephone. What the Antichrist is saying here is, my name is maybe. Call me maybe.
You guys are all laughing. But I'm being very serious here, because if you're passionate about something, there's an opportunity for you on YouTube and perhaps even a major audience. Because sometimes niches stop being niches, and they become so popular that they actually cement themselves in the mainstream. The top search query overall on YouTube in 2014, it wasn't a music video or a comedy clip, it was a video game, Minecraft. In the past, one game couldn't have its own show or its own channel. Sky Does Minecraft is one of YouTube's most popular channels, and it went from an unknown channel to a channel with over 1 billion views in less than 2 years. Diamond Minecraft was just getting off the ground in the summer of 2013. In June, it was one of the top 10 most viewed channels on YouTube in the world. And while people for years mistakenly associated YouTube with pet videos, other seemingly less popular genres like beauty and education quickly overtook them in terms of what people uploaded, and also what they watched. Education videos are now watched far more than anime videos are, and education channels are now placed among the most viewed among the platform. Beauty videos are so huge that a tutorial celebrity like Michelle Phan went from a girl who got turned down from a job at the Lancome makeup counter to their spokesmodel with 7.5 million subscribers. Dance, science, toy unboxing, tech reviewing, I mean, these were all niches that were once too specific or too random to be served by platforms like TV. But when the audience became the whole world and passionate, creative people like yourselves could reach them instantly, a new world of media stars emerged with global followings through YouTube. And so, one thing that became clear is that popular content and popular channels could capitalize on a model of distribution that was global in nature. They built communities that were global, not just local. 100 years ago, broadcast communication was limited to how far an antenna could reach. 20 years ago, it was constrained by cable lines and satellite dishes. Programming was defined by people who had access to infrastructure that the vast majority of us did not. But suddenly, the web and YouTube opened up this environment where we basically, for the first time, could reach beyond 300 million Americans to an increasingly internet-connected planet of viewers. And that creates some unique opportunities that just wouldn't have been possible 15 years ago. I mean, think about this for a second. The most popular channel last year in the United States was a Swedish gaming bro. The top trending videos on YouTube the past 3 years were from different countries that individually represent less than 0.75% of the world's population. A singer from Oregon can collaborate with a popular music creator in Saudi Arabia to cover a song from India that would become a popular video in Morocco. Where a dancer from the Philippines can invent his own meme called the Super Selfie. And he can have his creative style become a hit in the US where it inspired one of the biggest music videos of the past year.
y a la señora Buckman.
When you start thinking about your audience in these terms, you're essentially unlocking these huge pockets of opportunities. And so much of what we've seen today was not the product of some business school plan, but of creative people experimenting in clever ways. YouTube has always been about our ability to inspire people with our creative ingenuity, not with the money we spend to produce something, or the connections we have with someone who can distribute it. We saw very early on that amazing music videos could be made by anyone with a camera and a Sharpie. And that props you could buy at any store, Diet Coke and Mentos, to create one of the original viral phenomena. There are now more than 40,000 Diet Coke and Mentos videos on YouTube. They're still getting uploaded. Because YouTube was and still is about people who are experimenting with that creativity. In just 6 months, Cut Video went from an unheard of new channel with some inventive content to one with over 150 million views and one of the most recognizable series and trends of the year, 100 Years of Beauty, which has been a huge hit. And they've continued to experiment. They've had multiple other series see significant success in the span of just a few months. In fact, many creators have seen big success in a variety of areas by leaning into their skills as savvy artistic talents, not as executives of expensive production teams. Recent successful channels like this. Or this.
Good to see you, buddy.
They demonstrate both the power of simple experimentation and imagination, as well as our seemingly unending hunger as an audience for the new and unexpected. Right now, the diversity and uniqueness of what trends tells us a lot about how we're in this exciting moment in the history of media. A moment that each of you are responsible for defining via these principles, by creating things that reflect truth, that exist within a conversation, that speak to niche passions, but are global and driven by experimentation. And to me, here's the coolest part. These represent the how, but the rules for what people watch and share are constantly being rewritten. Written by gifted people who are not limited by the conventions of an old model. Written by you. In many ways, those early creators were the Thomas Edisons, and you are basically the early pioneers of a new and different medium. You're exploring the conventions and inventing the dynamics of a new area of artistic expression that's defined by your own originality. You're not trying to reproduce the past, but you're imagining the future. And right now, in the course of that, every time you upload something, something important to you and born from your vision of what entertainment should be, you're changing the face of media. And don't you forget. Thank you.
I was taking notes. Did you see that call me maybe guy? That was way too real for me. I'm like, is that me? Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, and John and Aggie got so good looking. I mean, they aged very well, and cat video lives matter. I mean, oh my god, Thomas Edison. Next, she is a filmmaker, producer, and actress. Her talents and skills are unlimited. She bravely speaks about personal issues while creating wildly entertaining and well-produced videos. And if you follow her on Instagram, you know she also has great skills with a stripper pole. Please welcome Akana!
Hey guys, how are you today? There's so many of you here, that's not good enough. How are you today? Yes. How many of you here want to create something, whether it's a book, a video, a painting? How many of you are afraid that it's going to be bad? How many of you have let that fear of it being bad stop you from creating? Okay, quite a few. Don't be afraid to suck. That's the one piece of advice that I've gotten in my time as a filmmaker and creating that has made me more prolific than I have ever been. You know, we can get so discouraged creating something, thinking like, what if it's not good? What if it's terrible? Like, why should I even bother with this, right? You look particularly like you vibe with this. Like, what are you afraid of? Is it judgment? Is it failure? You know that everything you create can just be yours, right? Like, you don't have to show anyone this. And I have some great news for you. For the most part, everything we make is gonna be kind of mediocre. Being terrible and being amazing are just two extremes that our content is only gonna sometimes fall into. It's a process, and it's one that we should embrace, because we can only learn how to get better by repetition and trial and error and creating a massive amount of quantity that has a focus on quality. You know, and you can't be creative and analytical at the same time. Like, studies have shown us that there are two different sides of the brain that you have to activate. So giving yourself permission to suck is the best thing that you can do to hinder or to unhinder or uninhibit your creativity. Because when we're worried about what we're creating as we're creating it, it completely ruins the process. You guys know what improv is, right? It's like when a group of people go on stage and they completely make up a performance as they go along. There's a really great exercise called bad improv. And it's basically a warm-up exercise where you try to be the worst improviser in the world. So if there's like a mom and daughter scene going on where the mom's grabbing the daughter, you could literally run in and be like, I'm a fucking ghost! And you would be winning at bad improv. It is so free, and it is so fun to suck and to try to suck. Like, challenge yourself. If you're a writer, try to write the worst thing that you can. If you're an actor, just act really badly in a project that's just for you. So often we get caught up in these ideas, you know, of I have to be good, I have to be great, and we forget that it's all about the journey to get there. Last year, I made 6 short films. I challenged myself, and I made 6, and I realized I'm a bad writer. I'm not that good. And you can only really learn that by making stuff and looking back at it and analyzing where you can improve. And so now I realize, like, okay, while I work on that for myself, I can hire people who I think are much better than me and who probably devote their lives to writing versus filmmaking and make that a collaborative process. Let's just edit this out. I do want to make one more point. I know some of you aren't like this. Some of you are what we call precious, right? You probably have an idea that you think is perfect, that you've been sitting on, and you're not going to release it until you're like 35, right? Everyone has like that little golden egg that you're like, if I could just make it perfect, I'll be good. But just do it. Just make it. Watch that Shia LaBeouf green screen video, right? Like, just do it. Because you never know what you're going to create until it actually comes out of your head and either onto the paper or on the screen. And there are so many ideas that we have. We are idea generators. There are limitless ideas in our heads. And you can never reach those other ideas if you keep holding on to one. So let yourself create. Let your creation suck. Because that's just the first step. I'm Akana. Thank you.
I'm like a bad improver for a living. If you see me at the maker party later, you'll see it in action. So don't be afraid to suck. Give yourself permission to suck. I'm an effing ghost. That's what I wrote down. I'm backstage taking notes. He is an American pop singer known all over the world for his amazing a cappella work. He is a YouTuber that I get stuck on his channel for hours and hours, and I love it so much. He's released over 80 digital songs. He is often seen with his beautiful wife as well. He is from Oregon, which makes me so happy. Peter Hollens.
Turn on the audio. And some claps.
enjoying VidCon? Isn't this place just so inspiring and amazing? I love being here. Well, I'm here to tell you a little bit of my story and let you know that the possibilities for you in this world are as limitless as your imagination allows them to be. My hope is that you will all leave here inspired and ready to take on the world. Really quickly, I was going to sing for you, but I spoke too much and I lost my voice, so I wrote this last night. I hope you enjoy it. VidCon has a way of planting that seed of inspiration, and it's really up to you to go after it. Now, I grew up in a very small town in Ashland, Oregon, as an awkward, dorky kid that everyone picked on. I was an introvert. I struggled to keep up with friends and to keep up with schoolwork. And once you're labeled an outcast in a small town, it has a way of sticking with you until you finally find a way to leave it all behind. Later, I was a voice major at the School of Music at the University of Oregon, and I wanted to start an a cappella group. I discovered many like-minded students and eventually co-founded the University of Oregon's first a cappella group, On the Rocks. Through that group, I really began to find myself. I was able to grow from an introvert to someone who was much more confident and outgoing. Music has a way of transforming you, and certainly transformed me. I make a living creating a cappella videos on YouTube. That means my music is created without instruments, using only my voice and mouth, like you guys heard. I decided early on, while still working a real job as a part-time boy, a pasta boy, that I'd earn every single penny from music eventually. And for 10 years now, I've made that vow a reality. I just made the decision to go for it, and I didn't have a plan B. I took the money that I had saved to pursue my master's degree, and with it, I started my own small business. I purchased equipment to create a home recording studio and become a self-taught engineer and producer. And I started uploading videos and began gaining traction and found an audience. And now, several years later, after creating and fostering a community online, I have over 1 million subscribers and hundreds of thousands of followers on my social media networks, and as well, last July, a Sony recording contract, which everyone thinks is so cool, so I have to tell you that. I make my entire living singing, recording, and producing my own music. Along the way, I accidentally started my own digital media company. I fell in love with the biz dev side of things, and now I'm advising startup companies that specialize in helping artists create for a living. Like many industries, the music world is going through drastic changes. In this industry, you must constantly reinvent yourself to stay current. And as a dad in his 30s who sings a cappella music, trust me, that is an enormous feat. Many musicians consider other artists and their competitors and rivals, but that never made much sense to me. I think of other artists as my peers, and I want them to succeed as much as I want myself to succeed, and I want to lift them up in the process and raise the entire ecosystem. The more we treat one another in this way, the more we will reap the rewards of a new friend or relationship and someone who may want to help us in return. I honestly believe that the best way to achieve success in any profession is to help build up every aspect and individual involved in that profession. And I believe that in most cases, nurturing a collaborative effort and environment will create more opportunities for us all, rather than pitting us against each other in a competitive one. So, as Anna said, where do I start? Some of you guys have asked us. You just need to try. And if you don't try, you will automatically fail. And what's worse, you'll learn nothing. Like, nothing. There's an infinite number of possibilities for you to create today, with no one to stop you except for your own inertia. You aren't here on earth to just go through the emotions. If you love doing something, go after it. And go after it with every fiber of your being. Stay up until 5 a.m. night after night if you need to. As soon as you see a door, go around it. Bypass anyone who says you can't accomplish your goal. Many times the only reason you will succeed is because you didn't give up and someone else did. You don't need to be the best at something, but you sure as hell need to work the hardest. At no other time in history has it been easier to create your own brand, your own business, and become an entrepreneur and to network with virtually anyone in the world. We are now able to crowdsource ideas in seconds from social media or get the answer for any question we want by simply using Google or asking our phone. Just as I see it alter the music world, technology will drastically alter virtually every profession in the workforce, and it's also bringing us closer and closer together. Please, if you learn anything from me, make your decisions in life based on love instead of fear. So many of us have chosen our paths in life because of money. Let money be the byproduct of following your passion. And please let me be living proof. If this 35-year-old father can attract millions of followers and make a living making strange sounds into a microphone while standing in my garage, in my underwear, then you can do just about whatever you want.
I'm sorry you didn't hear him sing it. I'm glad you got a little taste of it in the video. But like, what an example of on YouTube, whether it's singing a cappella or making cupcakes or doing your nails, do what you're passionate about. That's what his lesson is. But he did say, he talked about working a real job before, but I do want to stress, as we all know, how nice it is today that in 2015, you know, these young kids who were running the community track and they wanted to be YouTubers, oh, it is a real job now. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people making very good livings doing this, so how exciting for all of us that YouTube is a real career and you can grow up wanting to be a professional YouTuber for a living. You can applaud. This next one is very near and dear to me. She is a bold, foul-mouthed vlogger who films herself dancing in a watermelon bikini at times. She started watching YouTube in 2006. She did not upload until 2009. Here she is with her very unique voice, HARTBEAT!
Hello, hello. Are we having an amazing VidCon or what? I am so excited because it's a blessing to sit up here and be able to speak in front of you guys for anything. VidCon, YouTube in general, is something that I thought I would never be able to do, ever in my life. Yeah, you can go ahead and clap, baby. It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. I'm gonna let you guys know right now. Oh, wait, we're gonna get to that. I'm gonna tell you, okay. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, everybody else like wrote their speeches down, made an outline, like, oh, this is the points that we're gonna make, made a presentation, showed videos. But yesterday, I ripped my speech up. I ripped it up because I have something that I really need to tell all of you, and it's not going to be authentic if it's written down on a piece of paper, and I really need it to come from your heart, my heart, all pun intended, okay? All right, I'm really nervous, but I'm gonna go ahead and give just a minor background. There are 5 things that society loves to hate on me on. Number 1, I am black, all right? Number 2, I am a lesbian to the core of the human existence. Thank you, baby. Yeah, he's with it. He's like, lesbians, woo! I watch Ellen, woo! Number 3, I'm a little heavy set, but that ain't no thing. I can still get it. You know what I'm saying? A little heavy set. We did 3. 4 is 4. I swear a lot. I'm so surprised I did not drop an F-bomb yet. I curse a lot. I get ridiculed for it all of the time. Did I do 4 or 5? 4. What the hell's the 5th thing? Oh, I said hell. Dang it. Sorry. What's the 4th thing? I said this before and I can't think about it. Oh man, I just look at myself like I'm so perfect now. It's like, oh, do I really trip about these things? But, okay, we'll skip number 5. I'll come back to it later. But I want to talk to you guys about passion. When you believe in something, you truly believe in something, YouTube is the perfect platform to be able to resonate that to 100 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people. And I definitely thought it was like, this is something that I would not be able to do because the society that we live in today tells young black girls, tells heavyset girls that they will not be able to make it in the entertainment industry based off of looks. based off of if your teeth is perfect or not. I went on an audition. They wanted me there. And the casting director said, have you ever thought about, you know, getting braces? You gonna pay for them? I didn't know that teeth was a problem, you know? But YouTube also has an amazing power to, it's just so powerful, and people need to be able to understand that. There is something, I'm having an amazing VidCon, but there is something that's been bothering me. I've been very emotional for the past couple days, because if you really believe in something and you're able to come to events like this or make a good community, like with friends and stuff, YouTube gives you the power to look at the creator of VidCon in the eye and tell them something that you're really passionate about. Look them in the eye and tell them, you need to bring more featured Black creators to VidCon. Because everyone deserves the equal opportunity to be great. Everyone. Now, I could have went ahead and said diverse, but I went ahead and said Black because that's what's most relatable to me. That's what I want to see. So whatever you are, Asian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? Italian, anything. If you feel strongly about that too, you're Italian, you're like, man, I want to see more Italians on stage with their accents. You have the power to look whoever runs this place in the eye and say, you want that changed. You want it changed, I want it. You can clap because I need some energy. I was really nervous saying that publicly because I don't speak for all Black people, but I'm pretty sure the Black people in the audience is like, all right, you tell it, girl. Boo, I want to be invited here and speak on a stage and all that. Because that's our secret handshake. Yes, baby. I was waiting for that one. That Black church lady in the back. Woo! Getting super excited. But that's the point that I did really want to make today. I'm so honored that Hank and John Green invited me, and I can now call them really close friends. And it's not the end for you. It's not. You're going to be able to build, whether you have one subscriber or not. We all started at 0. We all have the ability to make our channels what we want them to be. Oh man, they have like a little timer right here. They're like, okay, wrap up, get off the stage. All right, but as you guys all know, my name is Hart. Today is my birthday. I would love to Snapchat all of you guys singing me happy birthday the best way possible. Hold on. Okay. All right. I'm almost off the stage, you guys. Don't yell at me. All right. Come on. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad she didn't write her speech because that was amazing. And I mean, amen. Next year, we need more Black creators at VidCon! And you don't always need to fix your teeth. And being yourself is the greatest gift you can give to the people in your life or your YouTube viewers. So thank you for being yourself, Hart. Next, we have a filmmaker, a musician, a VFX artist, and competitive gamer. He was ahead of the game before there was a game, and the words rocket jump and video game high are a huge part of our history and vocabulary. Please welcome the one and only Freddie Wong!
school for movies. I've been making movies since, well, since I was in high school. And there's been a couple things that I noticed that I think is really interesting. And I'm starting to see even here, even in this sort of burgeoning, quote-unquote, entertainment industry, quote-unquote, that what YouTube is becoming. So when I graduated college, and I want to be a director, and there's a couple ways of doing that, and the easiest way is to make really bad movies, direct-to-DVD, direct-to-TV movies. So that's what I did for a bit. I made direct-to-DVD, direct-to-TV movies. Have you ever been in like a Walmart, like or a Safeway, and you're like, man, Lawrence Fishburne's in this movie. What's he doing in this movie? I've never heard of this movie. Those are the kinds of movies that I was making. We actually had a friend of ours who was a director, and he made movies for Walmart. And it was like, there's only two things that you need to make a movie for Walmart. Either one, you need an explosion on the cover, or two, you make it about the Chupacabra. I'm not kidding. Those were the two things that they asked for. And he's like, I have this romantic comedy. It's like, can you put an explosion on the cover? He's like, I guess it doesn't have to. Fine, we're selling it. And what's interesting about the direct-to-DVD world and that sort of world is that it's a very reactive world. And what I mean by that is they look to the markets. They look to the world to see what do people want, and then because they can make movies so fast, they turn around, they make movies based on that. So, 2009, I'm in Santa Monica at an event called AFMs, American Film Markets, where a lot of these movies get bought and sold, territories worldwide, et cetera, et cetera. Our sales agent comes up to us and says, Freddie, do you guys have a movie about turbulence? What do you mean turbulence? Like, like when you're in a plane, like, yeah, we know what turbulence is. What do you mean by, do we have a movie about turbulence? He's like, I've had 3 different buyers from 3 parts of the world come to me and ask me specifically for a movie about turbulence. If you can figure out a script today, we can sell this movie about turbulence. I get you $100,000 to make this. It's like, you're kidding. And that's when we knew, by the way, that maybe doing direct-to-DVD movies wasn't the thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But it was really reactive. By the way, that was 2009. So again, they went, they heard what people wanted, and they're like, all right, let's make it. So 2010, I just did a quick search on IMDb this morning. These movies came out. and I'm being a little bit disingenuous. I believe Air Collision was the sequel. It didn't come out in 2007, it was 2012, to Airline Disaster, because Airline Disaster did so well that they needed to make a sequel to it. So it was a reactive industry. And when we got started on YouTube, one of the first people that we had met was Ray William Johnson. And Ray gave me some advice that I thought was really interesting. It's advice that I still think about to this day. He said that at a certain point in the process of creation, you're going to get to a moment in your career where you have a choice to make. And that choice is, do you continue doing what your fans want, or do you continue doing what you want to do? And at the time, we weren't that large, and we were sort of growing, and we're like, okay, that's interesting. We sort of put that in the back of my head. But as we grew, and as we started to get to a point where we could do a show like Video Game High School and have it, and be able to do that show for an hour and have it be essentially no different than an hour-long television show, the moment we got there, and we realized we started to split up our audience. We started to see people who had only found us through Video Game High School. I met people who had seen it on Netflix, and I said, how do you think, what do you think about our YouTube videos? And they said, you guys make YouTube videos? Like, had never even heard of us on the channel. So it was such a disparate segmented crowd. And we realized, well, everyone wants something. Everyone's going to want something different. We had that choice to make as well. And what I think is the thing that kills creativity is being reactive to what people want. It's being too reactive to that. That's something that I want to talk about. That's something I want to think about. And for all of you who are out there as burgeoning creators, as people who are starting your careers or in the path or in the middle of it, to be thinking about, which is, if you're going to be defining your success as what does everyone else want, and what's going to get viewed, and how do I get these views, it's no different to me than driving forward and looking in the rearview mirror the entire time. You're always reacting to stuff around you. And if you're always reacting to stuff, you're never going to be able to come up with something that's going to break through that, that's going to define something that people didn't even know they wanted in the first place. And that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to do this as much as we can. We've tried to be uncomfortable with things that we were doing. We tried to put ourselves in a place where we were not quite sure if people are going to like this. Because I think if you ever get to a point where you feel like, this is safe, and I'm put this out, people are going to like this, and this is going to be great, I think you're in danger of becoming creatively stagnant. And that's, I think, the one message that I have for people pursuing anything on the creative sense is never be satisfied with where you are. Always be pushing yourself, always be uncomfortable, and don't create things just to please other people. Create it just to please yourself. Thank you very much, everybody. Hope you guys have a good day.
Wrote down everything he said. Do you do what you want, or do you want to do what your fans want, which is a constant internal battle, as a lot of you YouTubers know. And I just want to go home and get over my own creative staleness and always be uncomfortable. I wrote that all down. That was an amazing talk. Oh my God. Okay, look at me. I'm like, there's people here, and I'm like having a moment. I'm like, no. Pull it together. We're in for a treat now. Our next creator is a musician. An original 5 Awesome Girl, for those who remember that. She makes nerdy music and plush toys, and a very special treat because she has wrote an original song for us today. Please welcome Lauren Fairweather.
Hey everybody. So I wrote this song about being a YouTube creator because when I first started making videos, I kept telling people this is what I'm doing now, and I faced a lot of resistance from people who didn't quite understand it. And in case any of you are going through something like that, this is what I wish someone had told me when I was first starting out. Hope you like it. To ride a bike, you learn to tie your shoes, and you learned you could do anything that you put your mind to. You could be a famous artist, you could be a big rock star, and you could even change the world as long as you try really hard. Before you know it, there are exceptions to the rule. What if all you want to do just isn't taught in school? If you've been discouraged, what you want may feel less clear. So let me tell you what you need to hear. Oh, the things you create make the world a better place. Don't settle for someone else's dream. It'll be really tough, but know that you are good enough. Don't do what you love, sorry, do what you love and don't look back. Whoa, whoa, I've always been different. I never took the easy road, and I've got so many things to say that I just might explode. Making beauty out of nothing, posting for the world to see. Then my family started asking what will soon become of me. But I can handle it. I don't need you to understand. All I ask is that you please accept me for who I am. I already know there are no guarantees, but all I really wanted was for someone to tell me. Oh, the things you create make the world a better place. Don't settle for someone else's dream. It'll be really tough, but know that you are good enough. Do what you love and don't look back. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When you accept that and feel it deep down in your soul, then you, my friend, can
holiday stuck in your head. That's amazing. We're looking for, that was such a treat. This is awesome. We have the creator of Rooster Teeth, one of the most innovative companies. Rooster Teeth has their own merchandise, their own conference and content ranging from podcast to an upcoming full-length movie. Please welcome Mr. Burnie Burns!
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Burnie Burns, and I don't know if you can tell by the look of me, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I started my company, Rooster Teeth, back in 2003 in a spare bedroom. It was me, it was a few of my buddies. We were making videos to make our friends laugh, but it's grown to have a staff of, as of last week, 120 people. We make about 40 different shows every single week, including Red vs. Blue, which is the longest running web series in the history of the internet. We just wrapped up our, thank you. It's only because they can't cancel you on the internet. You just have to give up after a while. Please do that. But we just wrapped up our 13th season. Last year we made a bunch of headlines because we crowdfunded our first feature film, Laser Team, and we shattered the records on Indiegogo. Our audience raised $2.5 million for us to make the movie that's coming out later this year. We also, thank you. We also have our own conference and also our own fan events, a lot like VidCon, but it's focused a lot more on Rooster Teeth and gaming in particular. It started as a fan event that was 500 people that just gathered basically in a field by our office for a weekend. And last year was 33,000 attendees, and we're expecting 40,000 this year. And we just announced the international edition of RTX, which is RTX Australia, which we're having in Sydney for the first time ever, January of this coming year. So we're really excited about that. Anyone here? Anybody come from Australia? Right here? So you screwed up, you should have waited. Could have saved $2,500 on a ticket here. But all these things are basic. This is my minute-long briefing of what Rooster Teeth is, and it's basically a minute-long excuse of why Hank invites an old grumpy prick to come talk to a bunch of millennials, is what it means. But I love VidCon in particular because VidCon is such a unique environment. It's one of the few places where you can go to an industry event and literally the entire industry is there. Like in the hotel next door, it's 3 floors of the top creators across the globe, and they're all there. And it's a great chance to collaborate, talk with people, see what their challenges are, because we all face the same issues. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Because I think established creators and new creators, how many of you are creators in this audience? Wow, a ton of you. How many are just people who like online video, just watch online video and don't make anything? Very few. How many are brands? Great, give us money, thank you. So, one of the challenges, I think the biggest challenges we face is this number right here. It's the number 400, if you bring it up on the screen. 400 is a number that was said by the CEO of YouTube when she spoke here this week. 400 is a very daunting number. 400 is the number of hours of content that are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. And that means if you want to watch every single video on YouTube and you sat down to do that, you would fall 2.5 weeks behind every minute you tried to do that. It is an incredible noise floor, and I think that one of the biggest challenges we all face these days, both established creators and new creators, is the problem of discovery. So I asked a lot of the new creators that I talked with this week at VidCon, I asked them, what are your biggest issues with starting a channel, specifically in regards to discovery, getting people to find your content? The big thing everyone always says is, I don't know how to get started. I'm not going to talk a lot about that today because I think that's the subject of just about every single VidCon panel and talk, is make genuine content, be engaged, be consistent. Quite frankly, you got to have those things. That's the ticket that gets you into the game. But I heard some things like this. I feel like I'm too late. I feel like some big window in history has passed and I'm just too late as a new creator, too late to this game. Likewise, I feel like everything's already been done. You know, if I'm a gaming channel and PewDiePie has 40 million subs, who's going to want to watch my new gaming channel? They've already seen that. And then, of course, there's more traditional answers, like, I'm a huge fraud, and people are going to figure that out. No one will like my content, and I'm going to be hated by everyone and die alone and unappreciated. That one I can't help you with. Welcome to being a creator. I want to focus on those first first, those middle two there, I'm too late. This is something I identify with because I started as a traditional filmmaker in the late 90s. I was in university, guys like Robert Rodriguez, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino. I was a huge fan of everything they had done in the 90s, where they had made low-budget films and they had just set the independent film world on fire. It was amazing and inspiring. And I saw that and said, I'm going to do that. There's a path to success, and I'm going to follow it. But as you can imagine, a lot like what we're seeing today on video, a lot of other people had that same idea. And they thought those pathways are set, and all they have to do is just walk along it in the same fashion. It's not the case. I was beating my head against the wall, basically. But at the same time, I was working in the tech industry in Austin at a .com company. I was seeing this revolution in data, where the internet became a viable residential product. And sure, we all had modems back then, and data sizes were really small, but everyone got an email address. And the moment everybody got an email address, nobody sent another postcard. Nobody wrote another letter. But you're not going to really notice a disruption in the postal industry. No one's really going to take note of that. You go forward a couple years, all of a sudden there's a decline in the print industry because people had faster transfer rates. They were reading blogs, they were reading news sites, and they weren't going to magazines and periodicals anymore. Go forward a couple more years to 2000. Suddenly Metallica is in front of Congress talking about Napster. Everyone is suing them. You saw a decline in the audio industry. It wasn't really a decline, it was an absolute implosion of the music industry. And I was butting my head against this wall of getting my movie into film festivals and getting myself out there. And then I realized, better way to do this. I can go online and do this myself. There's a great quote, a very inspiring one from Steve Jobs. He talks about, you can't always connect the dots going forward, but you can very easily connect the dots going backwards. You just have to have faith that what you're doing will connect at some point in the future. I didn't know it, but at the time, that's what I was doing. I was immersed in both technology and media, and those two passions came together. I thought I was too late. I thought it was too late to the independent film world, but something came along, and I was able to take advantage of it because I was passionate about it. The other thing, everything's already been done. I get that too, when people say that. But I can tell you, someone who's had a career in media for 13 years and in technology for 20, it's not at all the case. At the vantage point of my career, I can see the cycles. I can see the ebb and flow as things rise and fall. What we all consider to be major pillars of our culture. Things that would be like Facebook and Snapchat, even YouTube today. Those things seem infallible, but they can fall off, and they often do. We're kind of wrapping up here, running out of time. Let me give you a clear example of that. We talked about the very early parts of the internet were those instant messaging and email. Instant messaging, AOL bought ICQ in 1997 for $250 million. At that point in time, I thought, okay, that's pretty much the whole instant messaging war is done at that point. What else can be done with, I'm stuck in traffic, lol, better me than you, lol. I mean, you're not going to add anything to that. But there's been dozens of IM clients that have risen and fallen and been very popular over the course of years. Just last year, Facebook bought WhatsApp, an instant messaging client, in 2014. They bought them for $19 billion. So, if you take one thing away from this very brief talk today, the feeling that you're too late, if you're a new creator, if you're too late to the game, or that everything has been done, all I can say is I can borrow a phrase from a previous media revolution and say, you ain't heard nothing yet. Thanks for 7 minutes of your time.
Oh my God. It's never too late. Not everything has been done, and I miss Napster. I love Napster. I had like 2,000 show tunes. One day, that 400-hour upload thing, I'm sitting back there like, oh shit, what's that mean? Next, an absolute original in our space, another one so far ahead of her time. She is the creator of The Guild. She is the star of Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blonde, the founder of Geek and Sundry. She is a true pioneer, and I look forward to introducing her next time I do as a best-selling author. Please buy her book. Here is Felicia Day!
So I whipped up a beautiful PowerPoint I wrote, produced, and acted in that. I created a company called Geek and Sundry 3 years ago with YouTube, and I sold that company to Legendary Entertainment last year. So I still get to make $1 million. Thank you very much, Legendary. Jurassic World. No, I don't have those budgets. I was also in Supernatural because I included that because my face looks pretty there. Really good angle. That one? It's my selfie angle. I started making web video 8 years ago. Yep, I'm old. Very old that I met a vlogger who wasn't born when I uploaded my first video, so that was fun this morning. And the weird thing is that when I started making videos, there wasn't really anything out there. There were no people to look towards. There was like Lonely Girl and The Burbs, but that was literally it. There was a kid, there was a chubby kid with a lightsaber and the Numa kid. Anybody remember that? Oh good, you're old too. So the awesome thing is that fast forward to now, we have amazing people that we can be inspired with to do all sorts of things and talk about all sorts of things, and we're all inspired by that. And we all, I know there are a lot of creators in the audience right now, and you're probably thinking, I love them, how do I do that, right? So the thing that's gotten me through these long years in creating content is a little motto that I try to think about: embracing your weird. No, that's not a murder note. That is something that's really served me really well in my life, especially just coming, from a weird homeschool kid to now, embracing the differences in my life and my upbringing, and infusing them with my art every single day. And I think that's what you guys should take into your own stuff. And the sad thing is that as we grow up, that's the opposite of what everybody encourages, right? They're all like, oh, you're different, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too pretty. I actually saw a comment like that, not about me, but someone else prettier than me. And it's really hard to resist, and it never goes away, even if you're a kid to an adult. And I don't know why bitchy girls come in threes, but I just noticed this right here. If you haven't seen Mean Girls or Heathers, that's my grandma assignment to you, please watch that. But the thing about it is, when you strip away your differences, you have nothing left, and you will never stand the test of time. Look at the Eiffel Tower. People are like, that thing's ugly, tear it down. It was supposed to be teared down after 20 years. Didn't do it because people were like, that was okay. Galileo, sun in the middle, that guy was a jerk. They almost burned him to death. Elvis, anyone know Elvis? Okay, good, not too old. Everybody hated him, and yet, who's living right now? Who is living beyond even their own lives? Who's in every single Instagram when they go to Paris? Not the little bubble people, that's for sure. So, the thing about it is you don't have to try to be unique. You are unique organically. Every single person in this room, if you wrote a paragraph about a cat, it would be different. If you drew a cat, it would be different. And that's what you have to just get in touch with, your uniqueness. Because if you share your uniqueness, you're gonna connect with somebody. That messed up cat, and everybody's not gonna like that messed up cat, but the right people are gonna like that messed up cat. So, in conclusion, not really because I have more slides, examine your brain and figure out how you see the world in a really unique way, and share it with the world, and you're gonna get little blue clip art people who like you too. I did not license that item, please don't sue me. Oh God, damn it, I ruined the joke. If you want to do something, start by figuring out your unique perspective on it, because yeah, these potatoes look great, but who knows which potato is which? Be this little potato. I'm a unique potato, and that's how you'll make art and live life in a way that's a lot more fulfilling. I don't know if this analogy works, but that little fucked up potato is adorable. Embrace your weird. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Setting up to do here. That was July 27, 2007. I definitely uploaded a video that day too. Embrace your weird. I am a unique potato. Bitches come in 3. If this whole YouTube thing doesn't work out for Felicia today, I do believe that she could very easily be a professional PowerPoint presenter, because that was that was what this is all about. This is just amazing. Next up, we have a Toronto-based new media artist who whose work is a distillation of his passions for music, video, and audience participation. He is best known for his song challenge videos. So please welcome Andrew Wong.
Hey guys, I don't really like to talk too much. I'm just gonna make some noises for you.
So talented. This is our final speaker. He has crossed over from film and TV, and we're so lucky to have him on YouTube. He is, many people when I was talking to them, like, they just respect his videos. I mentioned his name, and they're like, oh, he makes the best videos. He makes such important videos. He has a new company, Beam, which just launched. And yes, please put your hands together for Casey Neistat!
How many creators here? Very good. So there will be a lot of creators here. Let me give you guys a super brief, hyper-abbreviated bio, just so we're all on the same page. I was like, I had a really tough childhood. I was in trouble all the time. I was kicked out of high school. It was rough. And then when I was 18, 19 years old, I had a computer and a video camera. And I made like a little video, and all of a sudden I felt like this sense of relief, as if I had now a means of sharing my ideas that was actually tangible. That was something more than just me being a crazy person. And that was like a really liberating feeling for me. And then I got really into that, and I committed to that, and I started making all of these movies, and there was no place to put them then. So I would put them in, I call them fine art, and I would put them in art museums, and I would put them in art galleries, and that sort of worked. And then internet connections got a little bit better, and I started putting them on the internet. But way before YouTube, I had a viral movie in 2003, 3 years before YouTube launched, that did like 6 million views in a couple of weeks. And the only way you could share it, because there was no social media, the only way to share it was literally by email. Can you imagine? And I love that. I love the process. I love the ability to share. And then I got into TV because of the success of these little internet movies, and I worked in small-time TV and then big-time TV. And then I had my own show that I wrote, directed, and edited, and starred in, made just like you guys make your videos, except for it was on HBO. It was on like the King. It was at the top of the mountain, and that was such a success. I was like, well, I want to make movies now, like real movies. So I started making feature films, and the last feature film I made, I produced, was premiered in the Cannes Film Festival, like the most prestigious film festival in the world, and then was in movie theaters. And right around the time that movie was in theaters, it was the same time that my show premiered on HBO. And I remember being, I would say the feeling was like one of frustration. One of like, it didn't feel right. And that was the height of like mainstream success. Like, what more could you ever want? But I left feeling very frustrated. And I had this sort of existential crisis. It's like looking inward, like, what is this anxiety? What is the source of this? And I realized this. And this is true for everyone here. If you're a creator, if you're a YouTuber, if you're a filmmaker, an artist, whatever label you want to attach to it, what you are is you're someone who believes in your perspectives and you believe in your ideas so much that you think they deserve to be shared. And I think that's a pretty profound understanding. And that is absolutely the reason why I felt so good when I was a troubled teenager and making these little videos, because now I could share my ideas. But in mainstream, like in features, in television, there are all of these steps between your ideas and then your audience. Like that HBO show, which I like to tell people about, because they're like, wow, this guy's big time HBO. The reality of it is pretty far from that. From the moment of making those videos that turned into a TV show that was an HBO show, to the moment that the audience got to see that was 3 years. It was 3 years of like politicking and nonsense and new heads of programming that thought it belonged. It should have been paired with this and paired with that, and it goes with this and it goes with that. We don't have the right time slot for you, and this new person doesn't like it, so she moved it here. And then it premiered at midnight on Friday nights. Imagine if your YouTube videos could only be watched at midnight on Friday nights. And it was the same with making a feature. Like, that was in movie theaters. And what it took to get into movie theaters was years, and like money, and all these crazy resources, and nepotism, and all this nonsense. So it could be in like a couple of theaters that like a few hundred people could sit down and watch. And as creators, if all that matters, if our only driving force is this desire to share perspectives and share ideas, then the only quantifier of success is how many people are you able to reach? How easily are you able to reach them? What is required between you, your ideas, and them reaching with an audience? And that's why I turned to the internet. That's why, at the height of mainstream success, I was like, I'm out of here, and I went to YouTube. And all these sort of big people in Hollywood, like agents and people around me, are like, are you fucking nuts? You don't do that. YouTube is for kids. But it felt right to me because there were no bureaucratic filters there. When it comes to the internet, I make something that's my idea, I share it, and it's out there. I had these ideas, I turned them into an HBO show, this huge success. It was 3 years between the idea and the audience. And like, I just opened up, as I was standing backstage, my YouTube studio app, or whatever it's called, and I look at the video that I posted 5 hours and 2 minutes ago, and it's been seen by 120,000 people. Like, how many movie theaters of people is that? So with that, I look at it, and I'm here, I've never been to VidCon before. You know, honestly, I don't know if they've ever invited me to VidCon before. I've never been to VidCon before, and I was really taken aback by, one, the size of the audience, and by the screaming fangirls, thank you, and all of the chaos that's here. But what really blew me away is the sense of community, the sense of excitement, all of this energy that's surrounding this event. And I met with, I'm going to pick on them for a minute, but I met with MTV a week ago, and we were talking ideas about how we might work together and stuff. And they brought up how, whatever it was, 10, 15 years ago, kids used to stand outside of 1515 Times Square, where MTV's headquarters is, and they would scream like this to try to get on TRL. And I remember that from my childhood, like that was it, that was the big deal. And now that same age group, those same people, that demographic, that group, they're standing outside the hotel here, they're standing outside the home. Those are kids that stand outside my office every day. These are like, that is how it has changed. And the conclusion there, what all of this means, and I can say this from a position of authority because I've seen the other side, is that YouTube, the internet, all of this is not a stepping stone to something bigger. This is not the journey to a destination. YouTube, the internet is the destination. This is mainstream. Like YouTubers, internet creators, we dictate culture. Like, we affect culture. Musicians, like I looked at this morning, these 2 young kids, Jack and Jack, maybe there's some fangirls here who know who they are. Their album is #1 right now. It's at the top of the charts. And they don't have it labeled. It's because they leveraged the power of the internet. It's because they leveraged something that was uniquely, it was accessible by all. The internet is like, it's not beholden to nepotism. Like, how many people are like, oh, he's successful on YouTube. YouTube's all about who you know. It's not. It's the antithesis of that. And YouTube doesn't give a shit who you know. YouTube is, the internet is one thing, and that one thing is, it's a meritocracy. If you have ideas that you want to share, they will find an audience. And I wanted to wrap this up by just saying how much that premise of sharing ideas and sharing perspectives has affected me. And having young people come up to me and tell me how much like my work affects them and what that means to me, and the profundity that is that. And me being shaped by other people and how the internet empowers us all to do this. And that's why I've dedicated everything I am now, like my whole life, looking forward, my whole career now is focused on one thing. And that is creating something that enables others to share their ideas and perspectives the way that I have. And I wanted to not come up here and like chill my new social network beam, but just talk about, just talk about the reason why I did that. Like, I was at an absolute position of success, like doing crazy branded content deals, having so much fun just doing this. And I took yet another step back in my career for the first time in a long time. I said, why? Why am I doing this? Why does this matter? And I came back to the power of sharing perspective and what that has meant to me, how it's transformed my entire life. And I thought, like, well, what is the graduation of this? And just making YouTube videos is not enough. What is more? And the idea, the thought of being able to empower others, I can't think of something that's more exciting for me. And that is our ambition with that, and that's why so much of my focus and so much of the subject matter of all the YouTube videos is about just that. It's like, sure, it's hung up in this company that I've built, but it's the idea behind it and the power of sharing ideas and perspectives, which is what every person who's up here before me talked about today. That's it, guys. Thanks for coming.
I wrote down the power of sharing perspective. I thought that was very lovely. And this is the destination. Think about that and go home with that. This is the destination. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you learn anything?